Hi everyone, welcome to this course, FCS 207, Cultural Aspects of Clothing for second year student, Family and Consumer Studies from Sokoine University of Agriculture, as being taught by Marcel Mary as an assistant lecturer from Sokoine University of Agriculture. Today we are going to look at lecture number 1, which is Technology and Aesthetics in Dressing. So before we start, we all know that technology has impacted everything in our lives, and technology has become a creator of revolution in all sorts of industry. In fashion industry, technology has influenced the material used and how people shop and experience throughout their clothes. Specifically in fashion industry, technology has impacted the entire value chain from design, production, consumption, and disposal of the clothes. Before we proceed, we are going to see some terminologies which you are going to hear throughout this presentation. The first terminology is the word clothing. This is the physical item worn on the body for any purpose. It can be for protection or for functionality. Another term is dressing. Dressing is the act of putting together clothing and the overall appearance of an individual. So when you put together your clothing, we say that act is a dressing. And then another term is outfit. Outfit is a set of coordinated clothes worn together, especially for a particular occasion or purpose. So when you coordinate your clothes in terms of color, texture, and silhouette, we call that appearance, or we call that clothing an outfit because they are coordinated. Another terminology is attire. Attire is a cloth appropriate for special formal event or specialized codes. So when you wear something for a special event or for specialized dress code, we call that cloth an attire. Another term is aesthetics. This is a branch of philosophy that deals with the principles of beauty and artistic taste. So once you put something to show your beauty or the artistic taste, we call that term is aesthetics. And another is a signature look. This is a recognizable style which involves a consistent set of clothing elements such as color, accessory, and define a unique look. So once you put together the clothing elements like color and accessories to get a certain look which is different from the others, we call that look a signature outfit. Another thing is a cohesive look. This is the pleasing and harmonious design where color, texture, and style work together to create a unique look. So once you want to create a unique kind of look by coordinating the color and texture of your clothes, we call that look a cohesive look. So let's come back to see how technology impacts the fashion or the dressing in fashion industry. Technology has impacted how we design. In the previous, people used to design manually. They could take a piece of paper and pencil open and start sketching from the scratch. But nowadays, through technology, the computer-aided design softwares have replaced the manual designing process. Nowadays, designers are just sitting on their computers using the software, the CAD, the computer-aided design, and design some outfit. So through this technology, the designers can now know how the design will look on the body, because as they design, they put together the pieces. They can even use their AI avatars to fit the pieces on the human body physique to see how the design will look. So it has simplified the entire process of the designing. Another aspect is advanced manufacturing and digital printing, fabric printing. 3D printing and automated sewing machine have come to simplify the work. In the previous, they used to use the manual printing machines or the manual sewing machines. But nowadays, through technology, there are digitalized fabric printing and sewing machines where the work which could be done for 2 weeks can now be done almost in days. And even the quality and the kind of innovation is being improved. Another is smart textiles. In the previous, we used to know clothes are just for protecting the body. But nowadays, through smart textile, the clothing are now being able to detect the temperature, to regulate the temperature, and even monitor your health. You can now put on clothes to monitor your temperature, and even to see how your health is being doing. So this has impacted the fashion industry for clothes to be not only for functionality, but also for health monitoring. So another is the use of artificial intelligence, where we can now use this AI technology to predict the consumer preferences and traits, relevance, and make the data-driven decision, increasing the efficiency and foster innovation. So in the previous, designers could not see what will be the coming trends or what will be liked by the consumers. But right now, the AI can simplify this process. Another on the production and consumption is sustainable practices, where nowadays we can use technology of upcycling and use of digital prototyping and use of innovation technique to produce something sustainable. You can see from the first picture, now designers can use the old fabric or the old outfit to create another thing. The picture shows how the old ties have been used to create a shirt. So this the upcycling technology. So through technology, we can now reuse our clothes to make a new outfit from the old clothes. But then fast fashion and customization. Through technology, we can now produce fast fashion and you can customize what you want. As you look from the lady there, she's wearing a garment with her name popping, like a light popping her name. This is the technology where we can now put the lighting or the electricity kind of lighting in the garment. This is the through technology, and people are now using it to allow personalization, choice of clothes and accessories. But another thing is e-commerce and social media. The e-commerce and social media has now enhanced a global reach and personalized shopping experience. In the past, people could just shop within their physical reach. But nowadays, you can just sit in your home with your phone or gadget and you shop globally. You can now shop something from Europe and you get it in Africa. This is through e-commerce and social media experience brought by technology. But another aspect is a virtual fashion and tries on. This has now changed how people perceive shopping experience. In the past, when you want something, you go physical to the store, you fit in, you see whether the clothes fits you, and then you purchase. But nowadays, you can just sit in Africa, you send your measurements and the detail you want to the designer. The designer will use something called visual reality and augmented reality to fit the garment you have chosen through your measurements, and then they send you the picture or the photo showing how what you have chosen will fit on you. So you can choose the garment you want before even purchasing it, and you'll see how it will fit on your body before it reaches you. So this is called visual fashion and tries on. So another thing is that despite the technology affecting the industries, the technology has even impacted the society in both positive and negative. The positives ones are simplified shopping experience. So through technology, it has minimized the difference between digital and physical shopping. Nowadays, you should not think of the distance you're going to use on shopping something. You have to just know where the product is and use the technology through different platforms to get what you want. Another thing is convenience. It has enabled workers to work remotely. We don't need physical offices anymore to complete a task or to sell something. What you need is the use of technology through gadgets, and you can do business or you can work at home through technology. Another is behavior change. In the past, before technology development, people used to think shopping as a hectic experience. But nowadays, through the development of technology, shopping is now an enjoyable because you can do it anywhere and anyhow and get what you want. And the other aspect of the positive impact of technology is the creation of new business models. In the past, through the fashion business, people used to know after you buy something, you use it and then you dispose. But through technology, we know there are now emergence of new business models such as rentals, resale, and swaps. Technology has told people, has impacted the knowledge of reusing as a new means of business in the fashion industry. So through technology, we can now rent, we can now swap, we can now even resell our clothes instead of just disposing them. Despite of this positive, there are also negative impacts of the technology brought by technology. The one negative, among the negative aspects, is the displacement of the jobs. Most of people are now losing their job because we don't need people to do things manual nowadays. The use of automated machines in manufacturing process have displaced some people. So some industries are now using the machines and the artificial intelligence to perform some tasks. So this the among the negative aspects of technology. Another is environmental pollution. Through increased efficiency of fashion production fuels the fast fashion cycle, which leads to increased waste and resource consumption. So technology has even facilitated the environmental pollution through the efficiency in the production, which also lead to resource consumption. Another is market saturation. The simplified production and marketing through digital platform has increased the volume of fashion available, which make people to shop anytime, to shop easily, and so which potentially contribute to the culture of disposability. So those are negative aspects of the technology. Welcome back to the second part of the lecture, where we're going to see the aesthetics in dressing. We're going to see the meaning of aesthetics. Aesthetics is a set of visual and conceptual principles that define a specific style which is associated with the social media or digital trends. So you can see these conceptual principles are, maybe a person can get it from the social media or the digital trends. So there's something people adapt from this, from the both aspects, either from the social media or the digital trends. But there is aesthetic styles in dressing. These are the overall look and feel of a person's clothing choice that uses elements like color, pattern, texture, layers, and silhouette to express a specific mood, theme, identity, and often is influenced by digital trends or personal expression. So people use different aesthetic styles in dressing to express a certain mood or to express a certain identity they want people to perceive them from. So, and this aesthetics is facilitates the conscious choice that contributes in creating a cohesive look. As we all already know, that cohesive look is that unique feel or a specific unique look. So there are different classes of aesthetics, and each class has some subcategories of aesthetics in it. So the 8 most common kind of aesthetics are romantic and dreamy, nostalgic and class, age and alternative, cute and feminine, intellectual and artistic, futuristic and tech-inspired, minimalist and neutral, urban and streetwear. So let's see how each class is being divided and which are the brief description and signature looks. So the first one is romantic and dream aesthetics. This has some subcategories in it, like a cottagecore, faircore, ethro, whizcore, balletcore, and conquet. But there are brief common description of this kind of aesthetics which describe how people choose this thing. So the brief expression which are very common in our setting are the embrace of neutral charms and handmade simplicity. So these people want this kind of aesthetic. They normally choose something which is handmade and they need something which is very simple. Another thing is a playful and imaginative with a vintage twist. So you can see whenever you see something with a vintage kind of twist, they describe this kind of dreamy aesthetic. Another is flatter and feminine with a romantic edge. So they are mostly described with this kind of features. So there are certain signature look. You remember the signature look, which describe this kind of aesthetics. One of the signature look we see from this kind of is a flowy floral dress with a woven back. basket. So once you see a person would tend to wear a floral dress and carrying the basket, we can normally see this person is of this kind of aesthetics. Another thing is a flowy white gown with a shimmering accents. So when we see a person tend to wear certain kind of dresses, especially white with a shimmering kind of scent, you can now say, oh, this is of this kind of aesthetic. Another last common kind of signature look from this kind of aesthetic is a lace top with a ruffled skirt and bows. So once you see a person, every kind of outfit she puts on is a lace top and a ruffled skirt, oh, you can definitely say, oh, this is of this kind of. So from the picture you can see most of the examples in our setting which communicate romantic and dreamy aesthetics. Let's see another kind of aesthetics, which is nostalgic and classic aesthetic. These are some subcategories. As I said, we have vintage, we have old money, we have proppy, we have twee, we have L20s, and Y2K. You have heard about these words. The most common brief description of this kind of aesthetics is the timeless elegance from the 1920s to 1970s. And the other common is polished and heavy league-inspired sophistication and futuristic optimum from the early 20s. So once you see people wearing this kind of descriptive kind of outfit, you can definitely say these are from this aesthetics. The most common signature look which define this aesthetic is tailored blazers and cashmere sweaters. From the picture you can see the first picture, you see the tailored blazer with the cashmere. You can see the two young men wearing a cashmere sweater and a tailored blazers, tailored sweaters. Another thing is Peter Pan collar sweater with a denim skirt. So once you see, every time you see a person wearing a Peter Pan collar, whether she paired with a trouser or a skirt, know that she's of this nostalgic and classic aesthetics. So you can see there are a number of aesthetics, descriptive and signature look, but for our setting we see the common which are found in Africa, or you can find it anywhere. Another class of aesthetic is age and alternative aesthetics. The age and alternative has some categories in it. There is a grunge, there is gothcore, there is cyberpunk, there is skirter, and there is e-girl. These are subcategory within this class of aesthetics. The most description of this kind of aesthetic is dark and intensive, blending gothic and punk, and the other is free, inspired, and rooted in scatter culture. So this kind of aesthetics are being communicated mostly in this kind of signature outlook. The ripped jeans with a brand tee and funnel. As you can see from the picture, you can see the ripped jeans, and these are now trending in our setting and among the Gen Z and young people. So once you see this kind of outfit, know that they're from this age and alternative aesthetics. Another is oversized jeans with a oversized tee with a bag jeans and sneakers. We have all know this is most common among the campusers and young people. So once you see people wearing this every time, know that they've chosen that kind of aesthetics and they want to be identified with using this kind of aesthetics. So another class is the cute and feminine aesthetics. These are very limited because it has a very few kind of aesthetic in it. We have a soft girl, we have a barbecue, we have kawaii. So the most descriptive common of this kind of aesthetic is gentle and sweet with a pastel feminine, and another one is adorably cute with a cartoonish charm. And signature look which mostly communicate this kind of aesthetic is a pastel cardigan with a floral skirt, you see from the picture. And another thing is pink mini skirt with a matching crop top. You see the first glove from the angle. She's wearing a miniskirt with a matching tape, and then oversized sweater with a ruffled skirt. Once you see a lady putting oversized either t-shirt or sweater with a ruffled skirt, you know she's communicating this kind of aesthetics. Another thing is intellectual and artistic aesthetic. This is mostly from the academia kind of. Either it can be light academia, dark academia, art or elevated indies. The most descriptive of this kind of romanticized leaning with a light airy vibe. And then another thing is mood and intellectual gothic inspired. And then they tend to celebrate creativity and artistic expression. The most common signature look which communicate this kind of aesthetic is a blouse with a tailored trouser and buckets. You can see the bucket is the brown shoe you see. This kind of shoe they're called brocs, which the most people tend to wear, the intellectuals and artistic. And another one is a turtleneck with a blazer. Turtleneck with a blazer and dark trousers. Once you see a man or a woman tend to put a turtleneck with a blazer or a dark trouser, know that they are communicating intellectual, artistic aesthetics. And another thing is a florid dress with a tailored coat. Once you see every time you meet a person, she or he wearing a tailored jacket, it's not that they are communicating something. That's the aesthetics they have decided to communicate. So we term them or we place them in this kind of aesthetics. And the other one is the futuristic and tech inspired. These are the most which communicate the future. They project the future and they are most inspired by technology. And most of the descriptive of this is serene sea-line charms with a vintage elegance, and they normally wear something which is old or which is past the fashion. So they tend to communicate vintage elegance. They tend to embrace the vintage styles and the cheerful and sunny summer market inspired. You see from the picture, the most identity or icon of this kind of aesthetics is a heart, sun heart. So most you can find this person whether it's a sunny season or not sun, they will pair their outfit with the sun and this kind of shoes you can see from the picture. And they most wear floral dress with a sun hat or esparids. Esparids are these kind of shoes which we normally see from the old fashions or the old people. So they're now coming with this kind of people which inspired by futuristic aesthetics. And the last one is the minimalistic and neutral aesthetics. As the word states, minimalists and neutral, these people tend to wear something minimal and neutral. They don't go for pop colors or bright colors. They tend to wear neutral colors or very, very minimal kind of color. Maybe they can pair maybe dark with white or one color with white. And the most common kind of description is a calm and sophisticated understated elegance, and they must go with a plain white tee with a straight leg jeans. So whether it's a jeans or they normally pair anything they do with a white, or they wear the neutral colors from top to the end. The other kind of aesthetic is urban and streetwear. As the word states, it's urban and streetwear. This is kind of, we see this kind of aesthetics in most girls and the clubs and campuses. It's a street and urban. They communicate what is being worn in the urban areas and not in the rural. They're most confident and frizz with a bold trend flair. They mostly go with a trend, and the signature outfit is bodycon dress with a chunk heel and sunglasses. So whatever they wear, these people of this aesthetic, they pair with the sunglasses and chunk heels. So you can see from the picture the designs of which communicate this kind of aesthetics. So we are going to see the impact of aesthetics in dressing. Why then people tend to communicate different aesthetics in dressing? People tend to choose their aesthetics in dressing so as to communicate the personal expression and identity shaping. Some people want to be identified according to the aesthetics they communicate. The personality, the interest and value through the clothing are being created through aesthetics. So people tend to choose a certain aesthetic because they want to be perceived the way they want. Another thing is creation of visual narrative. Some dressing allow people to create personal visual narratives, telling a story about who they are, their interests, and their beliefs. So people tend to choose what to wear because they believe something from what they wear. So through that, they create the visual narrative to other people. And another thing is abuse of confidence. People tend to be confident of what they're wearing. So most of people choose their aesthetics because they boost their confidence. They believe that whenever they wear what they want or what they believe will make them look the way they want, it boosts their confidence, and so their appearance, which align with the personal aesthetics, enhance self-confidence and better performance. So once people wear what they want, they tend to perform better and feel confident rather than putting what other people want them to wear. And then beyond trends and functions, people can choose what they want because they want to go beyond trends and function. They create a certain look and elevate it from communication, merging designs and material and the human form. So once a person chooses a certain aesthetic, they want to communicate something beyond trends. They want to communicate something beyond the function of the just normal clothes. They want to go beyond what people believe in their clothing. Another is a variety of styles. Once a person chooses a certain aesthetics, they will have a variety of styles which allow diverse forms of personal style. They will have to have more styles, and so they will have more appearance and they look different every time due to the aesthetics they've chosen. Another thing is mood and emotional well-being. Aesthetics convey a specific mood or vibe, creating feeling of safety and excitement. Once a person wears what they want, this enables them to have a certain mood and even emotional well-being. So they feel happy, they feel safe, and they feel excited because they have appeared the way they want people to perceive them. And the last one is forming connection and communication. So once people with a certain aesthetic meet, they connect, and so they form connection and communication because they share the values and beliefs in dressing. Now you have heard how technology and the aesthetic influence dressing and the impact of technology in the society. I'm now giving you a reading assignment, and you're going to find how the influence of technology in aesthetics. And this marks the end of lecture 1. Get ready for a second lecture, which is going to be on the factors affecting clothing choices. Until next time, thank you for your attention.
Yeah.